Judith Tandoh. We come to you live from our studios at Desa Wikanda in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. We're also on Facebook at 3FM 92.7 and across our social media platforms. Coming up this morning, economist and data scientist Alfred Appiah shoots down Vice President Dr. Bawumia 2.1 million jobs creation claims.
If you have added about a quarter to other people that are employed in Ghana, we should see a reflection of it in the taxes, but we are not seeing that.
Also, economist Dr. Patrick Osumin calls for extensive research by policymakers on job creation in Ghana following the Ghana Statistical Services report on the 1.7 million Ghanaians classified as unemployed.
In time past, we've been solving the unemployment problem in the dark because we didn't really get a full grasp and understanding of exactly what is the unemployment problem, in which sectors are the unemployment.
Plus, pollster Benefsin tips Dr. Bawumia to win flag bearership race of the governing New Patriotic Party after the Vice President hinted of his intention to contest the primaries.
From the work I've done on both sides, I think that Dr. Bawumia is likely to win the flag bearership.
Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. Please do stay. Well, in our first story, Canadian-based Ghanaian economist and data scientist Alfred Appiah has shot down employment figures put out by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Now, according to him, although Ghana does not have a standard employment record as pertaining in other jurisdictions, data available from the Statistical Service show that figures given by the Vice President are not accurate. The Vice President earlier this year said government has created over 2.1 million jobs over the period.
You would see that the percentage of income taxes as a total of all tax revenue has been very stagnant. So it begs the question that if they are creating all these jobs and these jobs are trackable, how come we are not seeing a reflection in the income taxes? And the government over a number of years recently has been talking about how many Ghanaians will pay taxes, right? But if you have created 2.3 million jobs, mind you, 2.3 million is approximately about a quarter of all the people that are employed in Ghana. So if you have added about a quarter to other people that are employed in Ghana, we should see a reflection of it in the taxes, but we are not seeing that.
Well, in related development, economist Dr. Patrick Osumin says policymakers should do extensive research to understand the extent of the unemployment situation in Ghana and work towards specific programs such as YouStart. Now, data from the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that about 1.76 million persons were unemployed by the third quarter of 2022. The report further indicates that 2 out of every 3 persons employed during the period were in vulnerable employment, whilst 2 in every 3 women are unemployed. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim.
Unemployment among females is close to about twice that of males. And we've said it categorically from the vulnerable employment point of view. You see about a 21 percentage point difference between males and females. So the gender divide with our employment characteristics, our labor characteristics, is pretty straightforward in terms of both from an unemployment point of view and from a vulnerable employment point of view. I do agree with you. It's always important to look out for underemployment in any labor statistics report. The emphasis here is to get people in Ghana to talk about labor mobilities. The annual household income and expenditure survey will come up with its own report, and it's going to do all the analysis that we want to have.
Now, speaking to 3FM economist Dr. Osumin says addressing the unemployment situation in the past was tackled in the dark and never gave policymakers the real picture.
In time past, we've been solving the unemployment problem in the dark because we didn't really get a full grasp and understanding of exactly what is the unemployment problem, in which sectors are the unemployed base, where are they trying to transition, so that we come up with effective policies to actually address it. I think what this new information is giving us is a little bit more detail, so that if the policymakers are so minded, they will take their time and get to understand, do some more research to understand the characteristics of the unemployed, and then try and address them. Because
Now on to some more stories, and the Medina Lanquantanan Municipal Assembly has commenced a rigorous exercise to identify and prosecute developers who have not obtained permits but have started building projects. This follows the collapse of a building under construction at Adenta, which claimed one life on Monday.
One person was reported dead and 8 others trapped under the rubble sustained injuries following the collapse of a private residence in Medina. The Medina Lanquantanan Municipal Chief Executive Jennifer Dede Afagbeji told TV3 that on April 20, a team of task force was dispatched to halt the construction of the project after the Works and Engineering Department of the Assembly realized that the private developer was building without permits. The developer then took a break but resumed construction again on the weekend when the Assembly staff were not on duty. As a result, the project was hastened with concrete cast not properly dried, resulting in the collapse of the entire structure. According to the MCE, the Assembly is supporting the police to obtain sufficient evidence.
MUSEC has taken a decision. We will collaborate with the police to ensure that the full prosecution is done.
Now, away from that, Chinese national standing trial for various illegal mining offences, Aisha Huang has been convicted by an Accra High Court of an immigration offence after she changed her plea from not guilty to guilty. Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo deferred his sentences to the end of the trial regarding 3 remaining charges against the accused. There's more in the following report.
Aisha Huang changed her plea on the charge of entering Ghana while prohibited from re-entry contrary to Section 24 of the Immigration Act 2000, Act 573, to guilty after entering into a plea of bargain with the Office of the Attorney General. Prosecution led by Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuayabua closed the case, having called 11 witnesses. 11th prosecution witness, Superintendent Divine Anhuma Okanse, told the court that the Chinese national forged documents to obtain indefinite residency permits after her 30-day visitor's visa expired. The Immigration Service officer testified that after investigations, it came to light that Aisha Huang had forged documents citing marriage to Anthony Fabian, a Ghanaian, in November 2010 and renewed in April 2015. Checks with the Birth and Death Registry as well as the Passport Office of the Foreign Affairs Ministry showed that there were no records of the said husband of Aisha Huang by name Anthony Fabian. Aisha Huang has been charged with 4 counts of undertaking a mining operation without a license, facilitating the participation of persons engaged in the mining operation, the illegal employment of foreigners, and entering Ghana while she had been prohibited from re-entry. The case has been adjourned to May 25.
On to some politics now, and pollster Ben Efsing says Dr. Bawumia is likely to win the flag bearership race of the governing New Patriotic Party. Now, according to him, the religious dynamics could give Bawumia added advantage. The vice president, who met over 100 members of parliament on Tuesday, is said to be lacing his boots to announce his campaign bid. Take a listen to Ben Efsing.
From the work I've done on both times, I think that Dr. Bawumia is likely to win the flag bearership, followed by Kennedy Japan is likely to be second, and Alan Chamatin. Let me give you a brief. Let me start for Alan Chamatin. One of his biggest disadvantages has been he's not too well known in the party, especially with the younger delegates. Alan Chamatin peaked in 2007, Alan Kaj versus Akufo-Addo, many will remember. That is 15 years ago. So a 25-year-old delegate now was 10 years old when Alan Chamatin peaked.
Now, lastly, Yendi Municipal Police Command has called on residents to assist the service deal with issues of insecurity in the area. Now, the calls follow the killing of 2 persons between April 8 and 19 by unknown assailants in Yendi, which has raised concerns among residents. Our Northern Regional Correspondent Christopher Amwako reports.
On April 8th, a gentleman dealing in pharmaceutical products was shot dead near Yendi Health Assistant Nursing School. An undisclosed amount of money and his motorbike were taken away by the assailants. On April 19, a hunter returning from his hunting expedition was also ambushed and shot by unknown gunmen. The victim managed and shot at one of the assailants. The two separate incidents have raised serious security concerns within the Yendi municipality. Acting Yendi Municipal Police Commander ASP Benjamin Amo Ayesu appealed to residents to assist police.
Security is a shared responsibility. We as police, we do our best to do whatever we have to do to ensure that there is peace at everywhere we are. There is also something which I've realized, that when we make arrests, there is the need, the pressure to request for the person to be released instead of him or her going through the full term or even face court to serve as a deterrent to others.
And that's how we wrap up the 6 a.m. news here on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. My name is Judith Tandoh. Do stay tuned for the rest of our programs.